Hello, it's the Hintons. We are back to start off this series or this discussion on our testimony. In our book, Those Who Wait on God, we start off sharing our personal journeys. His journey as a young man and my journey as a young woman. The things I keep seeing, and you can attest, is that they're like, where are the godly men? You know, the excuses, oh, they're already taken. See, you know, you're already married. But there's so many men of God that are living for God. And when you see godly couples, I understand that sometimes when you don't see any prospects in sight, you can get a little discouraged. But when God raises up people to share their testimony, the purpose is to encourage you and to give you hope and to remind you that that's not true, that that's a lie from the pit of hell, that there is no godly men or godly woman or nobody that actually wants to live according to the word and ways of God. If he gave you your mind and he gave you certain commands that you follow, not out of blind obedience, but out of your love for God, he's going to back up his word. A lot of times I find that singles end up compromising or moving away from their standards, values, and boundaries, right? Because they believe that they have to abandon them.
In the Old Testament, God referenced Israel as his treasure. Israel is, of course, the church as well. Today, we're his people, we're his treasure. What do you do with treasure? You don't leave treasure out in the open for anybody to grab. You don't leave treasure free for the picking. You hide treasure. You bury treasure. So it takes something to get to it. And you have to be connected to God to find his treasure. So a lot of people are looking for the godly man, for the godly woman. They're out there. They're just not out in the open.
Like when you say out in the open, they're not out in the open, like
they're not in plain sight.
Open?
It's not in plain view.
So does this mean spiritually or naturally? Because some people are like, you got to put yourself out there, and then they still feel invisible.
Both. Because, and that's exactly it. Because God will hide you. I lied to you not. Her and I grew up in the same neighborhood as children. Never saw each other. We probably saw each other.
But I don't remember this man.
But it goes to the point of we were hitting, until the time it was time for us to come together or whatever. But what my point is,
for real, even visited his church.
I mean, she lived in the district where I was a cop. I'm sure I pulled her over. I'm sure I did. You have a woman of God who's saving herself, who is trusting God, believing God. Same thing for a man, trusting God, believing God. For a man or a woman of God, he's not going to allow someone who's not serious about him. And that's what we got to remember. It all goes back to God. It's all about him. It's not even about us. We have to remember that our relationship with him ties us to his treasure.